Hey folks, Corey Cupford here with tip number 5 in the series for RIA firms looking to grow through acquisition, M&A, tuck-ins, or onboarding deals. So we're halfway. This is the halfway video, the 5th video out of 10. And if you haven't checked out the other 4, you definitely want to do that first. We're going to talk about business models or models in this video. In the next video, we're going to be talking about deal structures, but you don't want to jump in there. You got to go back and figure out the why, who your target is, what your value proposition is, and the other stuff that I've talked about in the last 4 videos. So definitely check them out in this series. So if you've done all that, now let's start talking about model. Now, what do I mean by model? And how is it different from specific deal structure, which we'll talk a little bit about in the next video. So if you're just doing a one-off deal, and that's the only deal you're ever going to do, then you probably don't need, a model, right? You're just going to figure out the deal structure of that deal, figure out, if they're the right partners, the right people you're going to bring in. You're going to figure out if the economics and everything else of the deal works, and you're going to do the deal or not do the deal. But if you're looking to grow on a consistent basis through onboarding deals, through tuck-ins or through big M&A, and you're going to do those things more than once, then I believe that it's crucial to create a model for how you do this. And if you look at a lot of the successful firms, whether they're the the firms we consider aggregators or just bigger firms that have done a number, or any such firms that have done a number of deals, the smart ones always have created a model. Now, what does that mean, and why do I say that? Okay, so the model is. So let me take it back a second. You've figured out your why, you've figured out who you're targeting, you've created a value proposition for them, and then you figured out the dedicated resources that you need, right? So now you say, okay, great, we have that in place, but based upon that, how do we make this scalable and repeatable? How do we not have every single deal we do be something new? Well, we got to figure out the terms. And why don't we want to have it that way in terms of having every deal different? Well, first of all, it takes a lot more resources and to do a different deal every time. Second of all, if you figured out your why, your target people, etc., whatever, it's going to lead itself to figure out a model of what you're trying to build and what you want to work on. Number 3, it becomes a mess to try to manage all different types of deals that you've done with all different types of structures. Now, by the way, I'm not talking about that within a model you can have a couple of options depending upon, because let's say you are targeting your why gives you 2 different types of candidates, for example, or populations that you might be targeting, because maybe you have some objectives that lend itself to maybe 2 different things, a couple of objectives. So you can have options in your model, but what you want to do is have a model in the way you do it, because then it becomes easy to integrate, easy to manage. You're not on an ongoing basis trying to manage all different deal structures and approaches. And that's the way it becomes scalable, and that's the way successful firms do it. So how do you create a model? Well, again, you're gonna go back to those objectives, and you're gonna start saying to yourself, okay, let's say that I've decided that I want to be a solution for advisors that are looking for a succession solution, right? Where they can retire in the next 5 years, and I want to bring them in. Okay, well, what should my model be for that? Well, okay, so my model has to be a model in which it is attractive to those kind of advisors, right? So one, you might have in your model something I call a succession, backstop plan, or it might be a hard succession plan, meaning that you might say, hey, part of what you have coming in is that we make a legal commitment that we're going to buy out your firm whenever you want to retire or in 5 years or whatever it is, and here's how we do it, right? That's part of our model. Part of our model also is to help transition your clients to other advisors in our firm so that you don't lose clients over time, and it'll be somebody you're comfortable with, right? Part of our model is to build a communication strategy around the clients to set them up for this, etc., right? So the model helps define what you're providing for those advisors, right? It's governed by the why, it's related to who you're targeting, and it is really an expression of your value proposition in a structural way. And it creates a consistent output and a consistent way to manage people who come in. And it also makes it clear to the advisors that you're targeting about exactly what model they're moving into, so there's no disconnect between expectations. It reduces the time to get a deal done, because the clearer your model is, the clearer the advisors can make a decision on whether that model works for them. And also it creates a reduction in disconnect later, where expectations are maybe not met, as long as you execute and implement on your model. And it also prevents the situation where you have different people getting different deals, and they start comparing notes, and then it creates dissatisfaction that way. So spend time creating a model. Now, one of the things that we do often for advisors, and if we can be helpful for you with this, we'd be happy to do it, is we do these half-day whiteboarding sessions. Well, we'll come in and really give people a landscape that not only helps them, we can actually help you at any stage of the way, whether it's figuring out your why, your target, etc. But very often we do these structures that help people figure out their model and their deal structuring, which we're going to talk about in the next video. So, if that's useful to you, we'd be happy to help you. But I hope, whether you do that or not, this tip on creating a model is useful to you and helps you along the way in terms of doing more deals and getting them done and having them be successful. Take care, folks. See you next time.